But is motivation really that magic thing that sometimes can be la 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 la? I'm going to talk about this little magic ingredient that we call motivation. So what exactly is motivation in the first place? So I'm just going to read one definition that I found about motivation. So basically, it's the desire to do or having interest or drive to do something. So basically, even though we have this definition of motivation, to me, motivation as is presented in social media or in a lot of posts or videos that we see, it's kind of presented as something that it is not. You know, we'll hear, oh my God, you just need to find some motivation. Oh, and here's how I stay motivated. Oh my God, it's so, you just gotta find this thing and, keep at it and be motivated. And it kind of sounds like a bad infomercial about, finding this motivation that will solve all your problems, and it's kind of sold as a product almost. Maybe I'm going too far in my perception, but what I mean is that it's kind of something that is required of us, and it kind of puts all this pressure on us to go and try to find this motivation and try to implement it in our lives and just have it as a fuel to our everyday actions and all that stuff. But the thing is that to me, motivation is kind of something that is non-existent. 90% of the time I'm not motivated to do things. 10% of the times it might actually happen that I feel motivated to okay, so let's just I just want to make a point here. When I say that I don't feel motivated, is that it's not that I won't have interest in things, but there's a difference between the part of the definition of motivation that is having an interest in and being able to sustain that interest. So to me, the part about sustaining that motivation is what is unexistent, and that is what explains why many people, for example, who try to be more healthy, just give up because you can have that initial trigger, that fire inside you to want to start something, but are you actually able to sustain it? So basically, that's what motivation is to me. It's more the part about being able to sustain the action that you first had interest in or have had the drive to start implementing in your life. So when people tell you, yeah, you just need to stay motivated, well, staying motivated isn't that easy. And I feel like it's sold as this magic product or magic ingredient that is essential to be able to live a healthy lifestyle or to make progress in your life. I'm just going to put it straight out there as it is. To me, you can't rely on motivation to make progress or even to implement changes in your life, whether it's for health or it's for personal development or all that stuff. So what do you do then if motivation can be a reliable component on which to base your action? What do you do? Well, I think that motivation is still important. It's the initial, trigger, the initial starter of whatever you're going to want to start in your life. But what I want to address here is more about how to be able to go past that initial fire and trigger and basically make sustainable changes in your life. So to me, like I said, most of the time I'm not motivated. For example, when I started working out, if I had just relied on motivation, well, that would have flopped really quickly. I mean, when you've never been an athlete and you just start working out, like, this shit feels like hell. It really does. Or even if you're trying to, even when you're progressing, for example, in school, and you're changing level, meaning, for example, you finish high school and then you're going to university. Well, I mean, at first it's really scary, and what is going to sustain your progress, basically, in when we're talking about studies, is more about having structure. So having that structure laid out for you can help some people be more motivated, which was my case. I mean, I wasn't really motivated, but what sustained my interest and drive in getting my diploma was that I had a structure, and I was held accountable by deadlines. Which, I mean, it sucks. A lot of times it's stressful, but at the end of the day, those little challenges along the way helped me get to the end goal, which was to get my diploma. So in life, it's basically the same thing. I just took the studying example because, it's easy to imagine having, a laid out structure with your schedule and the classes that you have to take. But how do you take that idea of structure and sustainability and apply it to your everyday life? So basically, you need to create that structure for yourself. And that is why I say that you can't rely only on motivation, because motivation is a little bitch that only pops up for 5 seconds and then, abandons you, and then you have to do all the work on your own. So how to make the changes that you need to do, to make in your life, and keep progressing in the way that you want. So I think I just have little notes here on about that. Usually, this is one of those days where I'm not feeling motivated at all. I feel tired. I just feel really bad, and so I pushed myself to do this video because I knew that my end goal was to help someone out there. And this brings me to my first tip. So you need to be able to keep some sustainability and progress. I'd say to think about motivation as something as to shift the mindset and think about it as focus. So a lot of times people have asked me, how do you stay so focused? And I'm like, what? I'm not focused. But then I realize what they mean. So usually when I have an interest in something, I have that little helper that is called obsession. So I get obsessive about things at first, but then the obsession might drop if, things get too difficult, and, it can ultimately bring me to abandon the thing. But the thing is that I remind myself to stay focused instead of staying motivated, because if I stay focused, well, I can kind of, shape my days and shape my my bigger goal into little goals. So if I'm thinking about, getting better at doing push-ups, well, what I do is I stay focused on the end goal that is right now is to do 10 full push-ups. But what I do is that I break it down, and so I practice push-ups a few times a week so that I can ultimately get to that first little goal of 10 push-ups. It's the bigger goal, but it's one of the little goals of a even bigger goal. So I've not said that one yet, but it's just to say that you have to go step by step to help you keep focus on the end goal. So another example was, for my because I'm currently writing a novel, and that is something that makes me laugh because I've kind of not have not have had the time to continue it in a while. But I had last year I was really busy, and I had for a goal to write. I set a realistic goal to write 1 page a week, so that at least I would have like 52 pages by the end of the year. And of course, you know, that didn't seem too bad to write 1 page. So I stuck to it. And usually when I started writing that 1 page, well, 1 page isn't that long. So usually I would write like maybe 4 to 5 pages or like 3 pages. And so by the end of the year, I was up to 100 pages. So right now, that's where I'm at. A little more than that. And I'm just I'm just like doing some planification about the rest of the novel. But it's just to say that usually when you set very realistic goals, depending on what's your schedule like and what's your priorities like, well, you can actually achieve them and achieve even more than that. So you stay focused because you're working on your goal every single week, little by little, not like, you know, just being motivated, like, yeah, I'm going to be motivated. I'm going to do this 5 times a week for 1 hour, and then that doesn't work, and then you're just back to square one. That's stupid. So don't do that. And yeah, just take it little by little. The second thing is sometimes motivation and staying motivated, sustaining that motivation isn't enough when you're just thinking about the goals in terms of yourself. So sometimes what can help is thinking about first of all, writing a list of all the reasons why you should be doing that and all the reasons even why you shouldn't be doing that. But usually if it's something you want, well, you'll just write the pros. So focus on the pros, on why you want to do something, and include in those pros how that action or that project can benefit others. So setting that goal, looking at that goal from a wider perspective that includes other people. I'm going to give a very concrete example right now. So for example, yesterday, I was being a little bitch because, you know, I can feel it's the premenstrual madness. And I think that's what happened yesterday. And that's why I'm tired today. But whatever. So I was being a little bitch to my mom. And, you know, everything was getting on my nerves and all that stuff. And because I had so many things to do before working out, well, I hadn't worked out yet. So, you know, at some point of the day, I was just like, oh my God, you know what? Like, I just wanted to give up on everything and just like be a couch potato and watch series on Netflix, which would have been fun because I mean, I can, you know, let myself have fun. But the thing is that I knew that if I worked out, well, first of all, my sister was going to work out with me, so that was another great motivation. Find people to accompany you on your journey or things like that. Yeah, as I was saying before, my my phone decided that, you know, it needed to shut down this video. Yeah, so relying on having other people accompany you on your journey can be really helpful too. But the thing that I wanted to say was that I knew if I worked out, I'd feel really better afterwards. And so that would impact my environment positively, because when I had done the workout, well, things would be, I would stop being so, so grumpy and all that stuff to other people. And that's exactly what happened. Afterwards, I was able to, you know, talk normally to people, to my family. And it just had a positive impact on not only myself, but other people, because working out in that instance is therapeutic for me, and it really helps me, you know, get my mind straight. So that's something. But if it's, for example, you know, you're working on an art project, and, you know, sometimes you're like, ugh, I'm so tired of working on this. think about how it's going to have a positive impact on people. For example, again, doing this YouTube video, I mean, I feel like this is a mess, but I wanted to get it done still because maybe I thought maybe that would help someone. So sometimes it's just about shifting the focus a little bit and remembering why you're doing it, not only for yourself, but for other people. And so the other thing too that can maybe help to sustain motivation is figuring out what are your motivation triggers. So for example, if you really want to prioritize something, and you know that sometimes your motivation can fluctuate because that's exactly what happens. Well, like I said, you can't really rely on that, but you can make sure that, some things are done by shaping your schedule for the day. So for example, I'm going to take working out again because that's the most concrete thing I have in mind right now. Right now, because my schedule permits me to do it that way, but soon that's going to change. I put my workouts, I make myself work out first thing in the morning so that I don't think about it. I don't start getting anxious about going to the gym or having to work out at home after work. I just put it right at the beginning of my day so it's out of the way, it's done, and I don't have so much time that I'm thinking about it and rehashing. Is that a word? Well, just thinking about it again and again in my mind. Because it's just done. It's like for assignments too. So if I have some paper to hand in, I'll make sure to work on it more in the morning, just to get the hardest. What I mean to say is that the thing that represents the hardest work, that takes the most energy out of you, I think should be done at the beginning of the day, because you're starting up your day hopefully feeling more fresh and a little more energized than by the end of the day. So it's sometimes motivation can be higher in that moment. So it's like a trigger to start doing things and start like giving yourself a good pep talk in the morning just to get started. So that can be a trigger, but for some people it's working in the afternoon actually. So just find what moment in the day is your best time to feel motivated, or also see if following people on social media or books or all that stuff, all the things that can inspire you to do that thing that you're thinking about doing, can also represent triggers. So find out what person has the most influence on you to do things, or what I don't know, what kind of art inspires you most to do something. Just find what triggers are the best for you to do the things that you want to do. So write them down, because it's not always with the technical difficulties, yay, but what I was saying, it's not always easy to figure out what are your triggers. So just try to write them down. Write a moment when you felt very motivated, and try to figure out what happened before that, or what you were thinking before that. And on the contrary, also find what you're thinking before when you're not feeling motivated, so that maybe can help you. And also changing things up too. Changing things up meaning that, when you're not motivated to do some things, maybe it's because it's starting to feel too much like a routine. You're starting to lose interest because that fire that you first felt inside you is dying down, because the thing is getting too monotonous, and it's just starting to lose its shine. So try to change things up. And it can be really simple things. Sometimes I'm working on something and starting to feel like really boring or whatever. So I'll just change the setting. I'll go work in in another room of the house. Or if it's like working out, sometimes I'll do it outside when it's nice enough outside to work out. I'll just change the setting, or sometimes it's just changing one little thing. So if you're, oh my god, this the camera is stopped again. I'm so sorry, guys. So I'm just, I was saying changing things up more simply by, changing where you're working. Also, maybe changing how you see the thing you're working on. As for example, I was saying working out, seeing it as movement, as a natural therapy, or if you're working on a project, seeing it as a personal investment, seeing it as, something that will help other people. So just changing things up in your routine also, about if you're working on it, for example, on Tuesdays, or maybe just working on something on Wednesdays can make a huge difference. So just try to figure out how you can change things up to help sustain that motivation. And the last point that I wanted to make was to accept that you're not always going to feel like you want to work on something, and that that the point of the whole video is that you need to accept that your motivation will fluctuate, and that I think that the key to be able also to sustain that motivation is also not accepting that you're not always going to be motivated. So if someday you're not wanting to work on something, or you want to take a break, let yourself have this break, because sometimes that can spike up that motivation again, because you're like, oh, well, it's been a while since I've worked on that thing. Now I really want to get back to it. Sometimes it's just taking a few steps back and not working on something that can help, make you want to work on that something even more. So that's all I wanted to say for this video. It's been all over the place. I feel like I'm so sorry, and my camera kept cutting. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope you all feel a little bit more motivated to sustain that motivation now. And if you have any other comments, just leave them down below. And just don't feel like you always need to be on your A game, and that you always need to be motivated, and that it's something that it just pops up for some people every time. I don't think that is. I think something people are playing some roles. They show themselves on the camera as always being motivated, or on social media as always being hyped up about life, but I think they're playing a role sometimes. So you just need to be careful about how you perceive all that information, and to not let yourself be fooled by what you see, because sometimes it's not what it seems. Okay, I'm not going to say what song came into my mind, but it's a song for I think it's a Disney show, a Nickelodeon show, whatever. I didn't even like that show. The video cut again, because this is just the life. It's the day. It's the day to be motivated and do stuff, and it not working out. Anyways, I'm going to end this before it cuts again, and I hope you got something from this video and you understood what I was trying to convey. I'm really sorry if I wasn't clear enough or whatever, but yeah, so like I said, I think please leave comments and share what you thought about this video. I don't know if I said that, but if I said, I'm sorry, I get to be repeating myself. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. So bye.